All right, it is 6:30, and before we get started with our August 2026 meeting, it is the month for tax rate hearings. Do we have anyone here tonight with any questions or wanting to speak about the tax rate? Seeing none, I will call this meeting to order. Thank you to the guests that are in the audience. Do we have anyone asking to speak at open forum?
No, sir.
Okay. Oh, I skipped that. Do I, can I get a motion to approve the agenda?
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All those in favor, please raise your right hand. All those opposed, motion passes. Consent agenda includes the annual approval of the sub-list, contacts for DESI, eligibility criteria for free and reduced meals. It also includes our June and July minutes and information about the FFA National Convention. Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I move to approve the consent agenda.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any other discussion?
Just, I made suggestions for a couple of corrections to the DESI list, but that's it.
Okay, awesome. All those in favor, please raise your right hand. All those opposed, motion passes. Transfer and payment of bills. Are there any questions?
I just had one, and I apologize if you told us and I've forgotten. There was one for like 6,600 something budget. Does that ring a bell with you?
That could be any number of things. That
No, like it was called like Budget HQ or something. It had a
So
different
our
name.
annual subscription to Budget HQ, which is our financial software.
Okay.
Anything else? Have a motion to approve transfer and payment of bills?
I'll make a motion to approve the transfer and payment of bills.
Second.
Second. Any other discussion? All those in favor, raise your right hand. All those opposed, motion passes. Reports. State of the district.
So I take it that you guys would rather I not read all six pages. It was actually 10 or 11 before I pared it down, but I'll kind of summarize that to a degree. So I think relatively speaking, we're in a strong position, especially with just passing the levy. I mean, obviously, we could always use additional revenue to do the things that we're doing, but having the additional levy that we just passed, that was our main focus, focusing on salaries and benefits. So I think that strengthened us moving forward. We still have some work to do with our student achievement, and will be an obvious focus as we go into this year. With the recent passing of that levy, our message will be that this is not just additional revenue. This was a vote of trust for us, and our focus as a staff will be presenting that investment in us not as an expenditure but as an investment, and that's going to be our message as we enter into the school year with staff. We simply cannot say, well, now we've got it and we're okay. We have to show a return, and we know that I'm not predicting that we need anything else. That's not what I'm saying. But should we ever need anything else, we have to show in good faith that we gave a great return for our money. And so that'll be our focus this year, and that's going to be focused on student achievement and culture and climate here in the building with our staff. Of course, an improved retention rate would be great going into next summer so that we're not hiring as many folks as we are. But having said that, I think we're in a good position with a couple key strategic moves going into next year to survive what is undoubtedly going to be a difficult financial short-term future. Just to give you guys an idea, just since we last spoke about really what next year looks like, with predictions, we lost $100 a student that quick, which is about a fund balance point. So just from the time we last spoke until now, predictions were 6,500, now they're 6,400. And that's really difficult to track when they're going that way. Of particular interest, remember just 10 years ago, for about 10 or 12 years, our SAT was 6,375. So we have increased from our 10 years ago, 28,000 to 40,000. That's a 38% increase in salaries and benefits to our certified staff, which is great. Not saying that we shouldn't catch up, but keep in mind, of that, we only went up from state funding perspective $25 next year, between $6,375 and $6,400. So we go from 0.8% increase to the SAT, with a legislative demand to go up 38% in salaries and benefits. And you see the extremely difficult position that can put us in. So I have a few tricks up our sleeves, still going to be planning for additional cuts next year, so they should be necessary, gonna keep us in that conservative spot, but focus on what it's like to go to school here for staff and students, and outstanding student achievement, while we're fiscally conservative and responsible, showing a return. That is us moving through this next year, and I think, especially with the vote of confidence from our community, again, I believe that was trust. What we showed the last 20 years is we got a lot of support from our community, but they wanted to keep the strings and control of that. So we see that volunteerism and donations. Now they've given us the control over that in terms of tax rate. Now they're giving us that resource and trusting that we do great things with it. And so we'll be focused on that for the next 12 months.
Awesome. Thank you. I'm pretty excited. Special education report. Welcome.
Hi, nice to meet y'all. How are you guys today?
Good.
Good. I'm Krista McLean. I'm the new special ed director. So I'm gonna try. I've never done this before, so I know you guys will give me a lot of grace. Just to start off, we have some academic goals that we would like to achieve this year. One is going to be creating procedures with the special education program to have more uniformity, so all of our paperwork and stuff is going to look more uniformed. That way we have better student communication and more concise paperwork. We're going to provide more quality professional development for all of our special education staff within our PD days. And then we want to continue to ensure that all IEPs, evaluations, and 504 plans are in compliance with DESE. Those are our main goals for this year going forward. We have some new special education staff that's going to be joining us this year. Anna Kessel and Mackenzie are going to be coming in as paraprofessionals. Vana will be coming into the middle school and high school. She's had a lot of experience and very excited to have her. I've worked with her in the past and she'll be a great addition to our school district. And Mackenzie, she will be going into our elementary, into our life skills program, and she brings a lot of energy and excitement that will be great for our younger kids. We have one certified staff member that is joining us, and that is Melissa Stevens, and she will be our high school resource teacher. She's actually joining us today. Then we have our returning staff, and that is for our paraprofessionals. We have Debbie Prater. I might not say the names right, so I'll be learning them. She'll be in our pre-K, and so will Joan Groans. Got it. She'll also be in our pre-K. And then we have Taylor Luck and Gabrielle Buncho and Jordan Yates will all be in our, well, Jordan will not be, but Taylor and Gabby will be in the elementary. And then we'll have Jordan Yates, Christine Kramer will all be in the middle school and high school. Then our certified staff returning is Sue Ann Bauer, still going to be staying in our preschool. Tanya Souza will be our elementary life skills teacher. We'll have Hannah Wilbers will be our elementary learning specialist. We'll have Shelby Kemper will be our middle school learning specialist. And then Emma Schaefer is going to be our secondary life skills teacher. And then we will continue with our speech and language. The fabulous Michelle Mosley. She is amazing. We'll continue with our occupational therapy with the Como therapy services with Jessica. And then physical therapist will be Diane Brandt, which will be the same from last year. When we were looking at our enrollment and demographics, as of 8/7, we have our ECSC and elementary have 75 students that qualify. And then we have our middle school, we have 38 currently that qualify, and we have 15 high schoolers that qualify as of this moment. And that's not counting anybody that might have moved in that I haven't been able to get all their IEPs or information. Then we have our compliance and regulation. We'll have a form on that. It's just our annual that we just have to renew our certification. And then Missouri Schools for Disabled, they continue to reform that. So I'll be watching that pretty hard to make sure that that doesn't affect our school district and stuff. So I look forward to working with you guys. Any questions?
What's the enrollment in the early childhood special education?
So right now, we have 7 kids that are coming in from last year. We did a preschool screening about 3 weeks ago. And there's about 12 that we are, is that right, Amy?
11 or 12 that we invited.
So there's about 20 total
Yeah.
between the morning and afternoon? Okay.
We don't have those, don't have those completely finalized, we're still waiting on people.
I was wondering kind of that number compared to the 75.
Gotcha,
So
yeah.
So is that breakdown 75, 38, and 15, elementary, middle school, and high school, is that pretty typical?
So, I've not been in this district before, what would you say, Ms. Goodman?
Last year, we had a very high move-in rate of sped kids. So we had about 15 kids move in with IEPs last school year alone. So I would say those numbers are a little higher, just normal here, just because we had that many move in.
I would agree. I would say that last year was a significantly higher year for the elementary.
That's also why we hired one additional sped member going in. But you do typically see the wane as well, where you see a higher number in elementary, if that's what you're asking. And then hopefully along the way, you teach kids scoping skills where they're able to adapt and go into a mainstream classroom. That's always the goal. Of course, we want to provide services when they need them, but we also want to give them the tools necessary to go into a classroom and do well with Tier 1.
Well, thank you, and welcome again.
Thank you.
Right, summer school report.
Good evening. So summer school 2026 went out over really well. We were down some enrollment for the year than the year before. And so we started at the beginning of summer school this year with 258. We did lose a few, down to 247 by the end. We had 7 kids enrolled in credit recovery, which was about half of what we had enrolled in credit recovery last year. Again, the reasons we found that students dropped from the program was pretty similar to last year, due to camps or staying home with grandparents, vacations, things like that. Once they lose the money, sometimes it's harder to keep them in seat. Discipline overall went pretty well. We did send a few students home for the day due to some pretty significant behaviors, with only one having to be sent home for the summer due to very significant behaviors that affected the learning environment of the classroom. We just kind of continued for the safety. But overall, it seemed to go really well. The students did a really good job of exploring and growing. Teachers did a really great job of adapting the curriculum to what their students needed, and just working together as a team really well. What questions can I answer?
I just have a thought, just because I was thinking about when my kids went through summer school program through here, and they were so excited about it, especially getting the money at the end of the year. And I just feel like every year, the excitement I've heard has decreased. And so it got me wondering, what's our enrollment look like for the last 4 years? And we have dropped over 100 kids in starting enrollment in the last 3 years. Like, that's crazy. How much, and it just keeps dropping. And so, not that I'm expecting us to have an answer today, but it costs us to do summer school, it costs us to have food, and we're dropping to where we don't have good enrollment numbers. So just food for thought for everybody here. Like, I was kind of surprised. In 2023, we had 360 kids enrolled, and we only had 258 this year. Like, that's quite a big jump in kids.
And that was with us reopening one time, because I know several parents had said they missed the deadline, so we opened it back up one more time and said, hey, after that, we just can't, because there's no way for me to know staffing and being able to tell teachers, yes, I have a position for you, or no, I don't. And I think that it's pretty enticing for summer school. This is something that we've been brainstorming as well, but we're giving them $100 for the prizes that we're able to get with the Summer Journeys money, and it's great. There's daily prizes that they get, and then at the end, we do huge prizes to really, even if they didn't get the $100 gift card, to try to entice people to stay. But unfortunately, it just seems like people have a lot going on in summer. And I know it's hard a lot of times when there's so many camps going on, because they do lose that incentive so quickly if they are attending a camp, that then to get them here, even with the daily prizes, has been difficult.
Summer school enrollment is down just in general. One of the things we've been talking about for the last year, and I've touched on this about 3 months ago, is waiting to see what these numbers are. And so we've submitted our summer school report, and what I've asked Desi to do is to give me a little help in assigning an absolute numerical value to the revenue associated with that. 5 years ago, we got about 48 ADA units. That's 43 times the SAT from our summer school. Last year, I think we had about 32 units. I think we're gonna end up at that 29 to 30 unit rate this year. When you get just for simplicity's sake, an extra, let's just say $7,000 for rounding it out. Well, that's $210,000, okay? Well, Summer Journeys costs us about $145,000 a year, and our payroll for summer school costs us, depending on the year, between $90,000 and $110,000. You see our issue. And so I'm gonna come back to you guys in September with the actual numbers, what it will cost us to have summer school next year. We talked about this a little bit in preparation for today's meeting. There are a few advantages. Number one, we mitigate learning loss. We give kids a place to be during the summer to do some additional learning. Secondly, it helps with our salaries, because quite a few of our teachers they hold out for a few $1,000 for the summer school so that they can do what they need to do on summer. And then I think there are parents in our community that really, they could use another month of having school for their kid, a place for them to go. What I'm gonna bring back to you is a cost for that. And I do anticipate that it will cost us over and above what we receive. So that number that I'm gonna bring to you in September, I'm gonna ask you to tell me if that's worth those three things, considering our financial climate in Missouri. So be prepared for that.
And any has been looked into about not using the Journey program, just doing what we used to do, where teachers develop summer school programs. And I know my wife did a CSI in middle school for math, and it was a really neat class that she did.
We did talk about that last year, because it's really expensive, because we go in the black. But we gotta create a summer school program. We gotta get staff that'll create a summer school program. And now we've eliminated the $100. And for instance, going into that, part of what I think was the decline is we've limited the swim enrollment to what we're willing to pay for as a district. Because we were actually in violation for years in charging families for swim lessons. You're not allowed to charge them to access the curriculum or you can't count it for summer school enrollment. And so we've been paying for that, but on a limited basis. And a lot of people that would have signed up just to get the swim lessons, I've gotten feedback that, we would have went majorly for the swim lessons. I think between swim lessons and $100, it's gonna be tough to even maintain. We're gonna come close to the break even if we reduce summer. I did talk to Summer Journeys, because we have a contract with them. If we don't host summer school, they're willing to press pause on that and then pick it up, the conversation up in the contract when we continue. For instance, we would typically bring our 1-year extension to this meeting. You guys aren't gonna get it, because we need to wait and see if we're not gonna do it next year, we shouldn't extend for the year after, if that makes sense. So we are taking a look at some of those options.
Yeah, I know we've had a lot of discussion around that, and I think I would like to see our, school year curriculum completely finalized, because we are asking a lot of our teachers, by not having a reading curriculum, I mean, they're really building it all off the Missouri Learning Standards, and same for science and social studies. Math, luckily, they have really good structure to follow, for open sequence and units of study, now having that curriculum resource, but we're asking a lot of them, truly, especially for reading, but also science and social studies as well. So I would like to see that get a lot more strengthened before we ask them to then write it for summer too, because it's a lot of work. It is, they are working very hard to build that.
When we did it, this is a long time ago, when we did it for all of those years, we were required to have 14 kids signed up and show up. Otherwise, in that the first week, if they didn't show up, if we dropped down, they canceled the class. But in order to get the summer school paycheck.
Was that secondary level?
Yeah. And we kept, and we were able for a lot of years to keep 4 core classes going. And it was good for a lot of kids. And then we also had a lot of kids in PE to get that knocked out. They also took some finance and some of those other required credits to allow them to take some other classes that they wanted to take.
Yeah, driver's ed too.
Driver's ed.
One of the things that might help us, and we've talked about this just a little bit in previous years, we have the absolute bare minimum graduation standards here. We have, you can't get any less without violating the law. And I don't know, and I think it's worthy of discussion, I don't know whether we want to continue to maintain the minimum standard. I think what we're asking everybody, our community, our staff, our kids, is to come off of the minimum. But that's where our graduation standards are right now. When you get to the point where you have additional graduation requirements, that's where kids will take that PE in the summertime. Both my sons took their PE classes between 8th and 9th grade year and between 9th and 10th grade year so they could make room for career and tech classes later on. But if you don't need to make any room, you really just have to want to be in school to do that. You can hook some middle schoolers with some fun stuff like your CSI class, but it's really hard to get a high schooler without an actual need.
Instead, I'd be curious how many are really attending for the extras or because they're getting A plus hours, because we offer that to them on site.
I did an archaeology class, and we actually went and hung out with archaeologists. It was a full-blown course, and I was able to keep the kids in there. It was hard some years, but they look forward to taking it. But mostly it was, of course, 9th grade kids or 9th going into 10th. Young kids. It's hard.
Any other questions?
Big decision.
Thank you for the update.
Yeah, and we'll continue to explore options to get kids to want to be here.
All right, athletics report, Dr. Cobb.
Well, it was a busy summer. There's a lot in here, so I'll go quick on some of it. Starting off with the weight room, talking with coach, this was a huge success. We kind of think of things a little bit different this year. We opened up good football in the morning, we opened up power hour for the girls in the morning, and then another third session that came through. So success big on that. Kind of football led our attendance efforts on coming to the weight room. But the girls were right there very close. We had a steady 10, 12 girls who were showing up every single day that were there. Some of the numbers we kind of hit here is the summer girls, and I started reading this like this probably don't sound good. The girls gained 502 pounds, not that themselves, just
Don't
in
tell
lifting. I
them.
started reading and I go, this probably sounds bad when you say this, but no, overall they increased 502 pounds in all their core lifts. Kind of the key standouts in the girls was Carly, Kendall, and Ava. They increased a lot. A lot of it was that they were here 80 to 90% of the time. They were here every single morning lifting. So I think a lot of it goes to that. The summer boys, across the board football and some additional basketball and baseball boys that came in, they went up about 202 pounds overall. Kind of the one main highlight that was Mason. He smashed everything. He was over 30 pounds in back squat and bench. He was there 100% of the time. That was one kid that of all of them that was there every single morning for weightlifting. Overall, I thought our weights were great. I haven't got all the numbers because we just finished it up last week, so probably I'll bring back to you, Cynthia, kind of the numbers compared to last year. I believe attendance-wise was up across the board. High school volleyball, they had about 20 girls throughout the summer that participated throughout. They had several tournaments they went to, a lot of open gyms. I know they did league on Tuesdays and Thursdays, I believe. They consistently had about 20 girls that were there. They got a great season coming up. I think they're sitting right around 23, 24 girls right now. The second day of practice going on. They've got a great upcoming season. We're looking forward to them. Girls softball, they did 2 different tournaments, a lot of open fields. They're averaging about 13 girls right now. That's one of our emphasis on softball, trying to build our numbers up and get them going like that. They had a great turnout, which is good for a youth camp. They had about 15 kids that came out for youth camp. I think that was about a week long. And it was hot, and a lot of them were here. A lot of players are helping out, so the future is looking up in that as well. Getting to football, I don't know if I can cover all of these. You asked Coach Tony for a recap on stuff, and you get a lot of things, so there's a lot in there. So I'll try to go quickly on a lot of it here. Again, they averaged about 30 kids, and said they were showing at 5:45 in the morning. And those kids were here till then, and a lot of them were here till 7 and after. Several of the kids were going back up the field afterwards and practice and doing it. So those numbers were really good. One of the big standouts, I can't say enough about the Booster Club, is them donating the money and the supplies for the food cart that we had. One thing that, if you don't know about that, is kind of where in the morning the kids come afterwards. They've got peanut butter jellies, yogurts, applesauce. It started off just being a football thing, and it's opened up to all kids that are in there. So every kid who came in the weight room had the ability to get that. I think that pushed a lot of our kids to be able to succeed what they did in lifting. They spent this last month getting basically their offense, defense established and put in. The kids have been picking it up really well, the terminology and schemes they've been really picking up. Some community service that they did, as you've probably seen, those put out there. They helped out the storm we had out at the Osage View. They came through and picked up a lot of kids were up there throughout the day, picking up a lot of storm stuff. They served meals at the local youth center, as well as they did a lot of lifting around the school throughout the summer. Those kids did a lot of moving things from one area to the surplus. They moved a lot of things up, moving, so they did a great job. Got rid of a lot of stuff, the trash that was out there. A little different than we necessarily wanted, but at the end of the day, we got it all in the trash cans and hauled off and taken off. A couple other cool things that really happened throughout the summer. They had a lot of college coaches who either came in person or zoomed in, talked to a lot of the kids. They had some coaches that actually came down from the zoo and talked to some of the kids. They had several former players come back and talk, and then a lot of the coaches kind of shared their college experiences that went on with the kids. That was really good. Another great highlight, if you don't know, we had 2 young ladies who've jumped on and kind of helped with student assistance that have been coming out. They've been here every morning at 5:45 in the morning. They're probably what keep a lot of coaches lined out, taking pictures. They were making sandwiches, prepping things, getting things ready for the boys, doing a lot of photos and Instagram and things like that, putting out. So they've been a great help to the program overall. Lastly, as you'll see coming up, we probably see on the news, Rod Smith came out to our last practice, did a nice little interview and filming of the kids. You'll see magazines coming up soon that has a big thing with all of our, all the conference actually, but all of our fall sports. It's a really nice article that's going to come out as well on that. Lastly, cross country coming up. They had about 15 kids after summer with middle school, high school that came out. A lot of times they put a lot of miles in. They did a lot of work around. Right now we're at around 10 high school. We're looking for about 5 middle school kids that are coming through. Lastly, as I was writing down here, little updates. I don't want to take any from Bob's report on weight room and softball baseball field. The weight room is pretty much floor, every wall, TVs, everything up in there. That they're going to start moving the weights tomorrow. Can't say enough about Athletic Booster Club and Football Boosters. They've donated altogether. We've probably got around close to $45,000 in donations of just materials and money. I can't count how many man hours that we have down there. It's just crazy for amount of people that have come out. Kids are down there all day moving mats and putting things in place, and tomorrow we'll get all the weights moved downstairs. So it's great for all sports weight, but also for school, as the weight room is going to be inside. So weather permitting, we don't have to worry about going out or something like that, so all the kids will be down there. Lastly, and I'm sure Bob will probably touch baseball and softball field. You can probably see they're kind of finishing up on the bleachers now, so we're hoping to have that open ribbon cutting open ceremony. We're shooting for September 2nd is what I'm hoping, was making for the bleachers and everything to be in, and everything's pretty much on that, so you get a chance to go down there and check that out. Very good.
I think we'll make September 2nd.
I figured as much.
I think
but
Friday maybe.
They're
If
real
it were
close.
Tuesday of next week, I would be surprised, but I think maybe by Friday. That first one is the most difficult. Once they get that first one put together, the second one's a lot easier.
They were rocking and rolling down there this morning, so.
And I think Tasha's planning on running on her course this year too, right?
That is the goal. I'm keeping that one quiet because I don't want to jinx it because we're really, really close. I think that is the goal that she'll be able to do that as well, so.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thanks.
We'll have a Central State 8 Show Me Sports magazine. The Central State 8 superintendents approached Rod Smith. He has the Show Me State, or the Show Me Sports magazine that he distributes. We're beta testing for him a conference focus. And so there was some cost associated with that, but actually our boosters took on that cost. And instead of selling kind of individual ads for, fill in the blank with whatever business, our senior parents paid for that ad, and our ad page will be all the seniors from 26 27 different pictures of them and activities, and they're just kind of doing, for this one it's just fall sports, but they're kind of doing a fall sports preview of every single school across our conference. Depending on how that goes, we may end up trying to do a winter and a spring and a summer, and then I'm sure that just based on the initial magazine mock-ups that I've seen, it's actually really, really nice focus on our kids. I think it's gonna catch on with other conferences as well. I think Rod is gonna work himself into being busier than he would want once people see what he's done.
Is his daughter gonna help him with that too?
Yes, his daughters. It's a family affair, and you're gonna notice a lot of Central Missouri sports writers. Tom Leffler does Leffler's Link. He's the one that wrote our story in there. So we got about the #1 guy for local sports stories writing ours. It's a great preview for our kids. I think it's gonna be exciting for them to see their names and pictures, and to see the sports writers speculate on who is gonna be tough this year, who's gonna be tough early on, who's gonna be tough to beat in the playoffs, who has a bunch of returning seniors, and who's in rebuilding years. I think it's a fun look. We'll get about 500 copies to hand out for that. I think they'll go pretty quickly.
Cool. Superintendent's report.
Awesome. A lot of that was kind of in the superintendent's State of the Union, but just to kind of hit on those big things coming in, we have a big time focus. We have our staff for 5 entire days next week, and we're looking to take advantage of that as best we can in preloading our professional development last month in our exchange days, but then 5 days. We also understand that 5 days might be a little bit much for our staff, going from a couple days to 5 days. So we are gonna get them some time in their classrooms. We have a lot going on that next week. Also on the 20th, the reason we're meeting today, 4:30 ribbon cutting. We'll all meet right in front of the new high school main office down there. Probably take about 15 or 20 minutes. I hope to have student councils speak a little bit there. I'll say something. Mark, I assume you or your designee would want to say something. Bond Architects Navigate may say something very quickly. Hopefully we'll have the band there, we'll have cheer there. I know Chelsea and the office staff have come up with a fun scavenger hunt game to get people to go see all of the great things that we're doing. I listed some of them in there, and as a matter of fact, I would say in terms of our culture and our relationships with our community, it's been really obvious outside of just our election result a couple days ago, seeing PTO. I don't think people realize we have a miniature turf soccer field down, which was really kind of a tough, unusable space on our elementary because it kept so much water down there. The grass didn't grow great. We grew rocks amazingly. Best rock farm I ever seen. Mitch and PTO guys went in there, put a French drain to get that water out of there, got in all that junk grass out of there, and installed turf. I think our kids are gonna absolutely love it. Now, unfortunately for Mitch, the conversation, he hasn't heard this yet. Everybody keeps saying, well, why don't we just do this over here in turf also? Maybe you have heard that, Mitch?
Few rumors here and there.
Yeah. Well, it's been really popular. Between that, we've had boosters here, there, and a little everywhere, not just downstairs, but out on our grounds, doing not just, thinking about State Tech is another great partner for us. Joe Malaro and our football boosters have been taking care of everybody's irrigation all across campus. I am 100% positive we have the nicest grass anywhere. But also cross-country course back there. Our political action committee, that was a great example of the community engagement. They did a lot of the heavy lifting that we just can't by law do. I'm 100% positive that would not have passed without their efforts. Shout out to Carol Branson, Paul Brandt, Sean Strong. I'm just gonna say this, some other voices in the community on social media that really pushed that across the line. We had a lot of great people engage in that, and I was ecstatic to see that it was hundreds of votes. I think Proposition 5 brought out a lot of people that probably would have had no idea about Prop T. I don't think those people saw Prop 5, voted no, and then looked down and said, if they had no idea what we had going on, yes to Prop T. So I believe firmly that 50% of that gap between 450 and 650, at least 50% of that gap in terms of no, I think those came from people who were really voting against taxes and knew they had a couple big things on there, and so we got a no along with that. Otherwise, I think we would have been in the 60s in terms of pass percentage. So really pleased with how that turned out. Leadership team, got a few new partners on our leadership team this year. Garrett will be in Thursday. So he's literally coming from military training, and I think he's just gonna drive straight here and get busy on the work. So we have our new teachers coming back this week, all of our returning teachers next week, really just preparing for the year. If there's one message that you're gonna hear me say a lot, you're very welcome to come at about 8 o'clock. Next Monday is when we're kind of doing a welcome in the gym, and I asked Mark to come and speak to staff, but if you guys would like to come as well, that's Monday morning. We'll be in the staff gym just to meet and greet, say hello to the staff returning. But what you'll hear me talk about a lot is we either created a 50 cents per 100 expenditure, or we created a 50 cents per 100 investment in our community. And now it'll be a lot about us returning that investment for the community. Very important for us to do that. In terms of curriculum assessment accountability, MSIP 6 is going to be a hot topic. This is our time of year with our CSIP to completely redo that. And so I've asked the administrators in our one and only meeting that we had for ALT, I've asked them to review their building or program improvement plans along with our CSIP. They're going to bring that back to me. I'm going to bring both that feedback. We're going to do a little bit of survey in the community. I'm going to get some feedback from you guys, and we're going to revamp our CSIP this year. So expect that coming. Facilities and operations, we're in really good shape with a couple exceptions. You would think we knew we needed 16-foot marker boards for 2 years. You would have thought that they would have been ordered by now. We're about 4 weeks out right now. So our stopgap there is they're gonna provide us, they do have 12-foot boards on hand. So we're gonna install 12-foot boards, no expense to us. We're gonna get those up for teachers. And then when they come in 4 weeks, they will come in on the weekend and install the 16-foot boards for teachers. Other than that, I think we got a couple of stoves for fax that were damaged in shipping. So I anticipate them coming any day now to swap out those 2 stoves. If you'd like to come this week and walk through to kind of take a look, staff has started decorating the rooms. Christine Wells, she has done an absolutely amazing job making the fax room look like a family kitchen. Like, it looks like a nice one. It's absolutely amazing what she's done. But we have a lot of folks that are doing great things. We have a lot of folks moving into new rooms, so that's gonna take a lot of our staff's energy coming in. Like Billy said, softball is finishing up with the last real items. We removed the storage sheds yesterday, which was a huge task. Then we have the bleachers coming in. It's gonna look great over there. The overheads, if you haven't gotten a chance to look at the overhead covers, they're gonna last 100 years. They just did such a great job on those. I couldn't be more pleased. We've also done some seating over there with softball. The football field looks absolutely amazing. I have asked, not committing to this yet, but I did ask Hostetler Construction to take a look at our existing old maintenance building, old weightlifting building. Had a couple of bids to repaint that. There's so much surface work that I think we're gonna get a competitive bid to reskin that. that once you compare redoing everything that's there and then painting it, I think it makes sense to just swap it out and make it the rest. But we'll see. There are some other things that might take priority over that. The elementary work is essentially done. I'm trying to think if you know what, there's one thing for us to do where we remove some of the bleachers in the elementary gym. We have some patchwork and a little bit of painting to do, and that'll be finished up this week. That's gonna look great. One of the things that I'm really excited about is now there's a partition between this upper hallway and our cafeteria. So those teachers that are trying to teach right next door to that should be a great sound barrier for them. Downstairs, the weight room looks absolutely amazing. If you went to school here a long time ago, it used to be all open down there. Now the old 5th grade classrooms over there kind of in that corner at the bottom of what's now the elevator, all of that's opened up into what used to be that center part, which used to be the library. That's pretty exciting. I'm excited for our kids to see that. High school, simple, very tasteful, looks very nice in there. Colby Peters is really busting his tail to help us get all the landscaping finished. Nothing super fancy, a few shrubs and bushes here and there, some creek gravel, but man, it looks really nice. And he really timed the planting season great. What we seeded and strawed behind the building and to the side, we're gonna have to mow here pretty soon. He did a great job there. I'll be working, I hope you noticed the banners out in the parking lot. Got those up. I think I like that. That's just a nice touch. If there were one item that I could remove from this whole process that I could really go, man, we're in a really strong B to lower A range, it would be this concrete parking lot. There's a lot of the flat work that's out here that's just subpar. We did a punch list yesterday, and there's gonna be 12 to 15 panels that I've recommend they come and they tear out and they redo it. To give you an example, we have 3 panels just right over here that have cracked through, which is not altogether uncommon, but they're continuing to grow. And that initial crack there are offshoots to it that are coming back to it, which means all of that's gonna start popping up. And it's just gonna create issues over time. We've got 8 panels that have to be replaced specifically due to that. We've got another probably 400 square feet where tell me if I'm wrong here if I use poor language, but the risers for the water covers, the water caps and the sewer, grade was supposed to be redone so that those caps would be at the grade and level of the new parking lot. Instead, what they did was they cut around them, left a chunk of our old parking lot, and then they just sloped the parking lot up to them. So we have all these little knobby parts that are gonna give Cliff fits when he tries to plow. In looking at the contract and the bid documents, that's not what they were supposed to do. They should have looked at the difference in elevation, let's just say it's 8 inches, went in there, knocked all that out, cut it down 8 inches, and then they should have worked it to that, and they didn't do that. I do not think that what I sent to them yesterday, they're gonna be like, you know what, that's a good point, Bob. And I'm sorry, I appreciate that you pointed that out. We're gonna get right to work on that. I think it's gonna be a bit of a fight. I think they looked at what they potentially lost with the poor workmanship at the entrance, and they're trying to cut every corner they can. I think they're gonna resist us. I do think I'm probably gonna have to get our legal counsel involved in that. I'll let you know when I know. Another big challenge for us was, okay, now that, and I do think they will tear that. I think they'll tear it off. Any person in their right mind would be there. But that means it's gonna have to happen at some point this fall or next spring. And so I was really hoping to avoid that. But we've got a little bit of work to do out there. I know that's a lot. Financially, I've already told you they're talking about $6,400. We lost $100 just taking a deep breath from the time they told us 65. You know, I'm thinking 62. Surely they won't go below 63.75. That's what we had 15 years ago. But you know, I wouldn't be surprised by anything at this point.
Are they gonna get the chip seal done? on the back road?
You know what, that's a great question. So I have been in contact with Daryl Griffin. That was supposed to be finished by August 7th. They've guaranteed us it will be done before the start of school.
Okay.
Daryl reached out to him personally to confirm that. I let Daryl know that whatever it is, it can't be at the start of school. We have to have notice, and I think he's gonna be a great partner there. But I don't know that on the other end of that, the contractor, so Daryl resent me the number to contact. That's the same number I've been calling. I haven't gotten anything back from them. So I'm hoping that it'll be done before school. If it's not done before school, the second best option would be just for me to know when they're gonna do it. You know, I think you guys are gonna have problems across the street, Mitch, if there's a huge issue with traffic on that side. And so I'm just hoping we get some notice, and that notice is not, hey, I saw an asphalt machine down on 801, you're not gonna be able to use that today. I hope. I don't think it's Daryl. I think, you know, with anything, you know, I would point to our issues with the concrete subcontractor. You know, I don't think you get quite the same service now as you used to. And I think people are looking for anybody that'll work, and somebody is better than nobody. And when you get something that's better than something you don't want, you get what you don't want. So I hope that our public understands that we're gonna give them as much notice as we possibly can. We will not sit on that information. As soon as I know, we'll get it out, and we'll have a transportation pickup drop-off plan for our parents.
Okay. So that's the last report. Moving on to discussion items, bond project update, which you've covered
I've
some
kinda
of.
given that. That's handy. Refer to my last statements. We are on time and under budget from, you know, other than those few details, you know, what I want to get done. I want to get to the other side of everything that we're finishing up right now. And that'll probably be in the next month, and then really take a look at what our over and under after all the checks have cleared and we've had all the change orders, and then take a look at what else we can do with that. I will be working this weekend. I'm gonna put a little gravel across on our fill over there and just run some T-posts and flags so that we can have some overflow parking that you guys will wanna use, this fall for whatever events, whether it's cross-country or football, but
Right.
just run across. You know where
Oh.
that dozer is there?
Mhm.
I'm gonna run just some T-posts and some caution, do not drive beyond this point, kind of frame that out and just bring in some 1-inch. Won't even be clean, just bring in some 1-inch. Grade it out. So if we wanna have buses parked there, if we wanna have staff that are working events parked, however you guys wanna use it, but I'm gonna try and get that done this weekend.
Thank you. Awesome. 7.2 ASBR.
The ASBR, you know, that's our annual Secretary of the Board report. We're about 1.5 between what we were given in revenue for SAT, and one thing that I didn't calculate was our attendance rate in there towards the end of school. So that came in a little lower than we expected. So we're in that 27.4 range, and I really thought it was gonna be just a hair over 29. And so we finished the year. That should be confirmed in our audit, and we'll go through that audit this fall. Do you remember the date?
I was just looking.
September
I think it's-
13th?
Yeah, I
Sep-
think that's what it is.
I think it's September 13th that they'll come in, and then we'll approve that. We have had really clean audits, and we were able to get those approved and in front of you guys a month early last year in November. I'm hoping we're able to do that again. If there's any curveball in that, what's it?
That's why we were able to have the audit earlier this year.
Right.
Usually it's
If there's a curveball in that, it'll be all these projects going on and getting those kind of receipts and receivables organized. But I anticipate that going really well as well.
Good. 7.3 certified salary schedule / budget amendment.
Okay, so we'll certify election results here in a minute, but we passed the tax levy, and so I cannot say enough, wouldn't have gotten it across the board without a huge push by our community and its community members. Of particular interest, I didn't have one person ever reach out to me and go, hey, can you sit down and walk me through this? We did have our last informational session, was that a Saturday or 2 ago?
Saturday.
2 Saturdays ago. We didn't have anybody show up to that one, but friends of the effort. Trying to remember who all was there. But, so now we have to decide how to follow through with that. And so one of the things that I had proposed to you guys is maybe we ought to wait until we get our first personal property and real property revenues in January. And I proposed this idea of that being 4 months into the contract pay period, or 1/3, and our total increase being 3,000, that maybe we could prorate the second and third thousand through January through August of next year. As I begin to prepare the teacher-based salary grant, I wondered how I should present that, and so I made a call to Dr. Trammell and to Tammy Lehman, used to be Tammy Riegel. I don't know if you know Tammy, she's pretty high up in DESI's finance, and that was no good to them. Whatever pay schedule we have right now is what our application must be based on. We can't change it in January. If we were, we would likely lose all the benefit of that and be responsible for the difference, because 727 says we have to pay 40,000 anyway. And so their recommendation was, if we're gonna do 2/3, which would essentially change our base salary from 37 to 39, that we pass that immediately. And that base salary grant is due the 31st of this month. And so if we do that, essentially at 39,000, if we do that, this is just an example of the salary schedule. You guys already know, it just changes 37 to 39 and after it. But if we do that, there's not much difference between our kind of metering that out through the entire year and us just going to 40. And so I'm gonna give you a few numbers. So if we were to pass, and we did, the operating levy at 50 cents, are anticipating a 27.5 ending fund balance from next year, that just turned to 33.67%. Now we're over our threshold. But if we move to 39, that will leave us at the end of next year with an anticipated fund balance of 31.64% at 39,000. So I just went ahead and checked, what would our number be at 40,000? It would be 30.62. And so we would actually, if we went ahead and went to 40, we would be 0.62, prediction-wise. The school year has to happen. We would actually be 0.62 over our goal of maintaining 30%. So the question to you guys, I thought the 39 seemed reasonable, but considering that we lose 1.02 and still say above 30, do you want to go ahead and move to 40, or do you want to stick at 39? The difference is about 1.02 fund balance points, or about $80,000 or $85,000. Now, something else to consider, because it's not as straightforward as that's the only money. Something that may help us. This was a non-reassessment year. So we almost went up 3% on a non-reassessment year. I think that'll be double 6 to 9% next year. At 6 to 9% next year, that could be another $150,000 of revenue coming our way. So if we were to do that, I think that would cover us for our 3% or CPI. So we could bring on, remember, all of these are reoccurring costs, because what we've done is ratcheted up. We went certified 4 years ago, and then the year after we brought up our hourly. Then we went certified, and then we brought up our hourly. We held with what we had this year considering the climate, but now we're faced with this. Our plan was, and that's where the ancillary cost of associated increases to hourly staff language come from, to do 2/3 and then follow with hourly next year. I think we can do that, and I have one more trick called a levy transfer that we could be eligible for in 30, which could get us another 15 cents from our debt service that would cover, which would mean in this circumstance, we would be pretty solid and hover in the 25 to 30 range solidly unless Desi really yanks and puts us below $6,000. We could stay there, and some things that I like about it. One of the big questions was this implication that we were gonna get this money and then not give it to teachers. If we pass it August 4th, we meet August 11th and give it to them, and Chelsea, I think we can make payroll, we can make payroll just fine, our fund balance is fine, but I'm talking about how do you change everybody's salary, everybody's certified contract between now and then. I don't know how we could follow through as a board and an administration any more solidly than that. You pass it on Tuesday, we meet the next Tuesday, we approve it, and within 30 days, it's in your pocket as promised, with the same plan that we were going to follow through with next year for hourly. That's pretty good. And I think we can do it. I wouldn't suggest we could otherwise. I think we can still maintain our conservative position and be fine, because the difference, so we do, $200,000-300,000 of commitment with this, we'll bring in about 500. We'll hold that back to weather next year's 6,400 storm and still move forward like we should. The year after that, if Desi hasn't got their head on right, then I'd bring back to you a levy transfer, and here's what that means. When you create debt to build things, your payments and what your capacity is, your bonding capacity, is based on what your assessed valuation is. Well, if your assessed valuation goes up and your debt service stays the same, which it does, then that means you bring in more revenue to pay off that debt. There is something we can do year by year to take a look at how much over our debt commitment we have in terms of cents, and you can do a 1 year by year transfer to your operating levy to maybe cover us for a third year. I think it'll be about 15 cents, maybe 18, somewhere in that neighborhood, which will get us about $180,000 to $200,000. Now we'll have to do that every year, and we'll have to justify it. But I think we could weather a very difficult storm and do everything that we decided that we would do, and keep the momentum. Our community that's a great vote, So let's keep the momentum. I think it starts the school year on a high note. I think it'll invigorate our staff to get excited about the work, and then it's all up to us to give the return. Thoughts? 39 or 40? I think there's some arguments to be made for staying on the conservative side. I've eaten some crow in the last year thinking, no, they won't pass 727 and then not fund it. The heck they won't. They're gonna not fund it, and then they're gonna slit our throat while we're standing there gasping for air. With that being said, it would be hard for them to go below 63.75. What is it? Was that a Bob thing that you guys are laughing at? Okay. Well, certainly.
I'm looking at all of
it. Well, I saw it kind of go across like a wave in a stadium. So I wouldn't put anything past them, but then that's when we could pull the parachute that is a levy transfer from debt service, considering what our.
At what point do they actually lock into this number?
Don't think that happens.
The June 30th, which is the last day of the fiscal year, for the year
That you just
did.
completed.
They wait. In all honesty, that's not locked in till June 21st, when our last state payment comes.
They decide how they can divvy everything up.
So what they do is they come to you over the spring and they give you predictions. Gonna be good, gonna be a great year, gonna be a struggling year. Through the summer, they present a budget, and that goes through appropriations. Everyone thinks that that's in concrete, but in the fine print, it says subject to the availability of revenue. So to start the year, they always start the year paying you below what they told you. So this year it's $6,900. We'll probably get paid at $6,600, $6,700 all year long. Then they start the spring conference schedule, where everybody gets their crystal ball out, including Desi, because Desi has to look to the state. And they begin to make predictions about how they'll end the year. But as they make those predictions, they bring us in for spring conference, and they give us the news, good, bad, or ugly. We find out in about March, every spring, when we're already 2/3 of the way through the year, what we're gonna get paid. That's why it's so difficult to predict budgets. I mean, you're trying to predict the weather, but you can't look outside, and the weatherman will lie to you. Which is all true except for they can't look outside, right? And so you really get, and then you don't know, even when they tell you in March, you don't know what your last payment is gonna, you can guess, but you don't know. You don't know what it's gonna be.
It's crappy.
And so I do think we can be okay with this. Worst case scenario, we dip into the low mid-20s at the end of about 3 years.
The statute says that as of next fall, we have to be up to the 40 anyway, is that correct?
Yes, it's by law.
So is this do we need to approve the tax levy before we?
No.
Okay.
Not, well, I assume you're going to
We-
approve it.
So,
But if you were going to approve this salary schedule, that's a good point. I think maybe that's the right way to
I
do
think
it.
we should
If
do-
you were going to be interested in selling the salary schedule right now, which I would suggest we do, then we need to make a motion to change the agenda and move the salary schedule into action. And then maybe at the last thing we do, have discussion about 39 or 40, what position you want to take as a board, and then vote accordingly.
I will do that. I will move to amend the agenda to move 7.3 down to 8.6 after the tax levy summary.
Okay.
All right, solid punt.
Okay. Do I have a second?
Second.
All those any discussion? Okay. All those in favor, raise your right hand. All those opposed, motion passes. I like that idea. Action items, 8.1, certify election results.
We had a very positive election, and we passed our operating levy by a 56.7. Complete accident, but I am really proud of this. I predicted 57, maybe 58. Pat Minix is my witness. He's the one that asked me, and I said, I don't know what Prop 5 is gonna do, but I guessed 57 or 58. Honestly, I had no clue, but I'm ecstatic that we passed it. And we did better in some precincts that we have not fared well at all. I was pretty proud of that. Big shout out to the PAC, Ms. Branson, Sean, Paul put his name out there and did the heavy lifting there. A lot of folks having tough conversations out in the community. Also the Linharts, Mr. Hunt did some heavy lifting out towards the east side for us, and I'm pretty happy. Pretty happy.
Do I have a motion to certify the election results?
I'll make that motion.
Do I have a second?
Certify.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor, raise your right hand. Those opposed, motion passes. Changing directions here briefly, approval of bus routes.
Bus routes have stayed relatively unchanged. Always want to reserve the right, although we do this annually, want to reserve the right. We are continuing to go through registration. I may need to bring these back to you again at some point. I don't anticipate it, neither does Joe, but should we need to, we might have to amend these. There are a couple sections of our community that have grown a little bit, especially last year. It depends, that can oscillate greatly, but I think a couple of our more difficult sections are the same, if not maybe have grown a little bit. But I think we can stay with our current bus routes, but I may need to bring those back to you in September.
I like maps, and I think the way that these Google Maps are done is pretty cool. That's just on the side.
That was new this year.
Yeah. They're easier to see the actual routes. I appreciate that. Do I have a motion to approve the bus routes?
I move we approve the bus routes as presented.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. Any other discussion? All those in favor, raise your right hand. All those opposed, motion passes. Approval of Missouri Compliance Plan.
So every year we have the option to create our own compliance plan for special education. Historically, we've adopted the Missouri Compliance Plan as written, as we have the last 4, probably, I don't know, maybe even 6 or 8 years. And so I recommend that we do that again this year.
I'll move to adopt the Missouri Compliance Plan.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any other discussion? All those in favor of approving the Missouri Compliance Plan, please raise your right hand. All those opposed? Motion passes. Missouri Ethics Commission Ordinance Notice.
So we have the option to adopt an ordinance for conflict of interest for our board members so that you don't individually have to do that report each year. I think Alfred, unfortunately, he serves on a couple of different boards, so he has to do it anyway. But for us, you either have to redo that every year, your individual filing, or we can adopt this ordinance. And I recommend that we do that, and you guys have less paperwork. I think you can avoid the conflict of interest.
I think if I have to do it, everybody should have to do it.
6-1 it is.
Too bad.
Motion passes.
Do I have a motion to approve the MEC ordinance notice?
I'll make the motion to approve the MEC ordinance.
And I will second that.
Okay. Any other discussion? All those in favor, please raise your right hand. All those opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Okay, approval of tax levy.
Tax levy as voted recently for $3.25, $1.05 debt service levy of particular import to you guys. We are just a hair under 99 million assessed valuation right now. I predicted 2.5. We actually went to, I think it's 2.71. So we are right at 98 million and about 700,000 or so. With a 5-ish % increase, next year we will go into the 6-figure club as far as assessed valuations. The total assessed valuation plus the change in operating levy will yield 563,482. Part of that, just under about 490,000, is our operating levy, and then the other 75,000 or so is just from the increase, the 2.7% increase. To give you an idea, at 2.75 is 2.7. Then at 5.5, just for round numbers' sake, and that's about 100. If we go into reassessment next year at 5.4, it'll get you about 160,000 additional revenue dollars. Does that make sense? At 2.7, you get 75. At about double that, you get about 150.
Okay. Do I have a motion to approve the tax levy?
I'll move to approve the tax levy at $3.25.
I'll second.
A motion has been made and seconded to approve the tax levy at 3 1/4.
And $1.05
And
debt
$1.05
service.
$1.05 debt service. Any other discussion? All those in favor, please raise your right hand. All those opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Okay, 8.6.
Certified salary schedule. This will in effect amend our budget as well.
So I will go ahead and move that we put the certified salary schedule at $40,000. I think the community has spoke loud and clear. I think they want to see us use it to pay teachers. And I just think it's the right thing to do at the right time.
Absolutely.
Agreed.
Agree.
I'll second.
I think it proves what we said we were gonna do.
It's tough to get a tighter timeline than what we're doing, and I'm pretty happy about it.
Motion has been made and seconded to amend our budget by increasing the base teacher salary to $40,000.
Our teachers will see that in their September paycheck.
That's awesome. Is there
Right.
any other?
Right?
Right?
You can make that magic happen right
So much community support.
I know, I love it.
Right, I'll tell you.
Extra Saturday for you.
Engagement is high.
Is there any other Is there any other discussion? Okay, I'll do a roll call vote on this one. Roll call, Roll call vote, Brad?
Yes.
Jill?
Yes.
Mitch?
Yes.
Alfred?
Yes.
Andy?
Yes.
Jamie?
Yes.
I'm a yes. Motion passes 7-0. I think that's all we have on the agenda for open session. Our next regular meeting will be September 17th, 2026. I also want to remind everybody to come out to the ribbon cutting on
4:30, next Thursday, the 20th.
Okay. We are adjourned to closed session.
All right.
I move we adjourn to closed session pursuant to RSMO 610.021, subsections relative to personally identifiable employment information and personnel actions.
I'll second.
Motion has been made and seconded to go into closed session. Roll call vote. Brad?
Yes.
Jill?
Yes.
Mitch?
Yes.
Alfred?
Yes.
Andy?
Yes.
Jamie?
Yes.
And I'm a yes. Meeting
All
adjourned.
right.